on Newzroom Afrika, channel 405. The Democratic Alliance is calling for an inquiry into the killings that claimed 36 lives at the Phoenix, KwaZulu-Natal area. The official opposition in KZN, Francois Rodgers, the leader there, joins us now to talk more on this issue. Francois, I don't know if you were listening to the conversation with the spokesperson of the police minister and what their investigation is revealing around the 36 people. 33 of them who were killed were Africans, and 18 of those who were arrested out of the 22 are Indians. What does that say?
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to your viewers. You know, Thabo, I think we've got to keep some perspective in the anarchy and the death and destruction that we've seen in the province. Phoenix, there was obviously a certain people and certain vigilantes that took the law into their own hands, and I certainly support the law enforcement agencies to deal with that situation, and we must allow it to be dealt with. The problem is we're looking at a much bigger picture than just Phoenix. It seems to me at this stage that the entire focus has changed away from the collapse of the police force in our province, the collapse of law and order, and the collapse of government, to now purely put the focus and the attention of the 5 days of anarchy in Phoenix. And I don't think that is the right way to be dealing with this. You did say in the beginning that the DA had called for an investigation. We did say that we requested a multi-party investigation, and I think the multi-party investigation needs to also look at SAPS's role during this period of anarchy and their failure to protect the citizens of Phoenix.
Yeah. Do you think that the SAPS could have played a role in the racially fueled fallout, as the ministry would like to describe it?
Well, look, Thabo, I've been on the ground. I've been on the ground for the last week and a half in areas like Phoenix and Chatsworth, and I've been engaging. I've been in Ananda, I've been in KwaMashu, and I've been trying to assess what I believe is the real story when you engage with people. And yes, there has been some problems, and there have been some people that have overstepped the mark. But the overall picture that I'm getting is that people were left to fend for themselves, defend for themselves, and I think that's where the problem is. You know, to come up with a narrative now that everyone in Ananda or KwaMashu is a looter is incorrect. To say that everybody in Phoenix or Chatsworth is in fact part of these gangs that have been going around is also incorrect. Most people were law-abiding and were trying to protect what was theirs.
Let's talk then about, of course, some of the investigations that are revealing, for example, 112 illegal weapons that were seized in just the last couple of days. Even now, they're speaking of 152 weapons seized from 4 security companies, which are still going to be investigated and tested at all if they were involved in these 36 killings that we're talking about here.
All right. Again, Thabo, having been on the ground and having engaged with people, it appears that from the information and the intel that we're getting, there's been sort of an indiscriminate seizure of firearms. We obviously have information where people have legitimate licenses and legitimate firearms that we will then be taking up with our national counterparts, and we'll be asking for a full investigation into that. And clearly, where there is an illegal firearm, then it should be seized, and the law should follow its course. But the message that I'm getting is that a lot of what's happening at the moment is directed at law-abiding citizens in areas particularly such as Phoenix.
Yeah. So you're saying the message from the DA is that you do not believe there were private security companies that were providing weapons to the vigilantes?
I didn't get any information regarding that, so I won't comment on that. What I did get information on is that individuals whose homes were searched and firearms were seized believe that they have the legitimate licenses to own those firearms. And that is our concern. I want to repeat, where there are illegal firearms, those need to be impounded and the law must take its course. But we cannot just willy-nilly go around and seize firearms if they are legitimate and the owner has the right to possess that firearm.
Yeah. Talk to me about the social cohesion efforts of the Peace Committee. Are they bearing any fruits on the ground?
Well, look, I just, as a political party, the DA, we've been on the ground. We've been in all of the communities surrounding Phoenix and Chatsworth, and we're trying to engage, trying to bring about some sense and sensibility and, just to try and restore some faith in the residents. Obviously, there's still a lot of fear around. Social media is not helping the situation. So from our perspective, we've been on the ground. We've been engaging with religious leaders, civic leaders, and trying to bring some sense of normality around. But again, I want to stress, Thabo, this is not solely our responsibility. Government needs to step up here. Government failed the people of the province. They didn't provide the necessary security. They didn't give us the necessary defense. They need to step up, and they need to realize where their mistakes were made, and they need to come to the party and assist these communities in bringing about social stability.
Francois, are you concerned that some of the marches planned by other political parties could possibly stoke racial tensions in Phoenix?
Absolutely. Absolutely. To me, it's just, as a leader, to now take to the streets and try to drive a racist narrative, when in fact we haven't even got to the bottom of the problem, is really just adding fuel to the fire. We recently heard about the protest at the Phoenix police station where inflammatory and racist remarks were made. And then we think of the recent remarks that were made on the town hall steps of the city of Durban. This is not the time to be making reckless comments, because you're adding fuel to the fire and you're creating more fear and more panic amongst the residents who feel vulnerable.
Yeah. And one would ask then, what do you hope the parliamentary inquiry will achieve?
Well, I think the bottom line here, Thabo, is we need to get to the root cause, to what I always call the nucleus of the problem. How did this come about? I think that's step one. Step two, what we need to analyze and we need to determine is why we were not prepared. Why our intelligence agencies and our police force did not have the necessary capacity, did not have the necessary equipment to actually maintain law and order. Because the minute you take SAPs off the ground and you have anarchy, then, when people take to the streets and they man roadblocks and they run patrols, you can't blame them. You cannot blame them. The blame needs to lie fairly and squarely with SAPs and with the government who failed the people of the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Francois Rodgers, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight here on In Focus. DA's KwaZulu-Natal leader there, Francois Rodgers.